It was a cold, quiet evening when Ethan's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and saw an unknown number. Normally, he'd ignore it, but something in his gut told him to pick up. "Hello?" he answered hesitantly. The voice on the other end was frantic, a woman, her words rushing out in panicked whispers. "Is it done? Is he dead?" Ethan froze. He didn't know what to say, but before he could speak, the woman continued. "You've got to hurry. He'll be home soon. If he sees the mess, it's over for both of us." His heart raced as he realized this was no prank call. His throat went dry, but curiosity got the better of him. Who is this?" he asked, trying to keep his voice calm. The woman went silent for a moment, clearly startled. "You're not Alex, are you?" "No," Ethan replied, his mind spinning. "I think you dialed the wrong number." A long pause followed before the woman hung up abruptly. Ethan stared at his phone, adrenaline pumping. Had he just stumbled upon a murder plot? A hit? His fingers hovered over the dial pad, thinking of calling the police, but he stopped. Without details, they'd probably laugh him off. He decided to forget about it. But that night, sleep didn't come easy. He kept replaying the woman's desperate voice in his head. Is it done? Is he dead? The next day, another message came through. "It's not too late. If you don't do it tonight, he'll find out about us. I'm serious, Alex. Finish it." Ethan's pulse quickened. This wasn't just some prank. There was no mistaking it now. Something sinister was happening. He couldn't just ignore it. The police? No, he didn't have enough information, but curiosity and something darker kept gnawing at him. He needed to know more. So he texted back, "I'll handle it tonight. Where do I find him?" Within minutes, a reply. "He'll be at the old warehouse on 5th, 9 p.m. Don't screw this up." Ethan stared at the message, heart pounding. What had he just done? He wasn't a killer, but if he went to that location, he might learn who they were. He convinced himself it was the only way to stop whatever was happening. That night, Ethan parked his car a block away from the warehouse. The streets were eerily quiet, a thin fog creeping over the ground. His phone buzzed again. "It has to look like an accident. Make sure he never comes home." Shivers ran down his spine. Whoever this woman was, she was serious. He checked his watch. 8:55 p.m. Suddenly, headlights flooded the dark street. A sleek black car pulled up to the warehouse and a man stepped out. Ethan ducked behind a dumpster, watching. The man seemed nervous, glancing around as if he knew something was wrong. Moments later, another set of headlights appeared, this time from the opposite direction. A second car, identical to the first, parked just behind it. A tall figure stepped out. It was a woman. Ethan's pulse raced. Could this be her? The woman who'd been texting him? But then, his phone buzzed again. "Go now. Don't let her see you." But before Ethan could move, the man walked towards the woman. His voice was low but urgent. "What are you doing here? You said you'd stay away until it was done." The woman smirked. "Oh, it's done. Just not in the way you think." Before the man could react, she pulled out a gun and shot him point blank. He collapsed to the ground, blood pooling beneath him. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. He'd just witnessed a murder. But that wasn't the worst part. The woman casually walked over to the man's body, crouched down, and pulled out her phone. Then with a twisted smile, she spoke into it. "It's done. He's dead." The realization hit Ethan like a freight train. She was calling him. His phone buzzed. The woman straightened up, holding her phone to her ear as she walked towards the dumpster where he was hiding. Ethan's hands trembled as he looked down at his phone. A new message lit up the screen. "Turn around." Panicking, he spun around, only to be met with a gun aimed right at him. Standing in the shadows behind him was another man, one who had been waiting for him the whole time. "Gotcha," the man said with a cold smile. Ethan's mind reeled. He had walked right into a trap. The woman's voice echoed from her phone as she finally stepped into view. "You weren't supposed to get involved, Ethan," she said, her tone dripping with amusement. "But I knew you couldn't resist." Ethan's mouth went dry. "How did she know his name? Who are you?" he stammered, fear creeping into his voice. She chuckled softly. "You were just the wrong number. But a curious one. Alex here," she gestured to the man holding the gun. "He wasn't going to do the job. I needed a backup plan. And you, well, you fell right into it." Ethan's heart pounded in his chest. "Why me?" The woman tilted her head, her eyes cold and calculating. "Because sometimes people like you just don't know when to mind their own business." She nodded at Alex. He cocked the gun, but just as Ethan thought this was the end, she held up a hand. "Wait," she said, her smile widening. "I have a better idea." She tossed a phone at Ethan's feet. "You're going to make a choice, Ethan. You either call the cops right now and tell them what you did, or you join us. Your life changes tonight, one way or another." The gun lowered slightly, but not enough for Ethan to feel safe. He looked down at the phone. His whole life was flashing before him. One call, and it was all over. But if he didn't, the woman's voice was soft but commanding. Tick-tock, Ethan. Tick-tock. And in that moment, Ethan realized the real twist. The call was never a mistake. He had been chosen from the very beginning.